Hello there, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome back to the Talos Principle Road to Gehenna. And today we are going to be doing the next couple of episodes along with this one in post-commentary format. The reason being, I decided that I would take a couple of recording sessions to just go back to the worlds which I had previously completed in terms of freeing the Terminator robots, and this time I figured that it would be best to just go after the stars. I did not record any of these sessions with commentary because, one, each of them was roughly about an hour long, and I've only managed to cover Worlds 1 and 2 so far. And two, it really was just a bunch of clips of me just kind of running around experimenting with a whole bunch of things to see how I could possibly get the stars. And what I've deduced so far is that you pretty much need the box from open field to get all of the stars in this area. You need it for the actual open field star, and you need it for the other two stars. Other three actually, two of which are mostly revolve around just parkour puzzles. And the third one sort of revolves around using the parkour puzzle to your advantage, and then you have to take it inside the actual puzzle to complete it. So the first one I'm going after is really just taking the box into the main courtyard where the three other puzzles are at. And it kind of took me a while to catch on to this, but I am pleased to report that I did not need any guides to do this. I pretty much spent an hour just kind of figuring this stuff out on my own, and you know what, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out, but really, I spent an hour recording this, and it turned out to be only a little over 7 or 6 minutes in terms of the actual video, and good god, it really kind of stretches my mind, the fact that, you know, getting the stars themselves, once you manage to figure it out, it doesn't really take too much time once you get a general sense of what you're doing. And I have to admit, I like how the system works. I mean, originally I was quite boggled by the stars in this world. I was figuring, how on earth am I supposed to get these without any other solution other than a box? And I've kind of decided that it's impossible without doing any of that stuff without a box. So here we are taking a quick gander at the star which is above the gate of the center puzzle. And to collect this one, there's this little ledge right here which you basically require a box for, and then it just becomes a jumping puzzle from here on out. I actually attempted this jumping puzzle a couple of times with certain amounts of failure because partially because I was exploring, and also because it's pretty easy to fall off because there are certain ledges and objects where the jump prompt simply does not exist, like that ledge that I just jumped over for an instant. However, once you complete that, you just place the box right on this ledge. You know, jump over onto the little tower and collect the star. It is yours. Now, the second star is the one that resides on the little tower in the swapper, and once again, this is a puzzle that requires you to use this box. I mean, technically it already has a box, but you need this box in particular, because if you don't have a second one, well, what's going to keep the gates open, right? Because you need to keep that one. If you remember the solution for the swapper puzzle, then it's much easier to use that as an explanation than it is to try and describe it, but if you don't have the second box, then you won't be getting this star, because you need at least one box to jump on that gargoyle statue, and then onto the wall, so that way you can just climb all over the place. And there are jump prompts everywhere to help you out, and this is probably why I love the Talos Principle so much, is because of those jump prompts. It makes the parkour so much easier than anything. So that was the star for the swapper. Now, before we actually move on to the third and final star of this area, which would be in the one with the recorder, which I forget its name, I actually kind of discovered on the way there this little secret room which you can easily run into. It's not necessarily secret and it's not all too exciting, but it's definitely hidden from plain sight, I can tell you that much. So once you jump onto this tower and carry the hexahedron with you, you can find this little pool with a bunch of lily pads and a couple of statues. Obviously, you don't normally see this from any other point, but I thought it was kind of cool to see. And yes, there is a way of jumping out. You don't need to worry about getting stuck if you fall in here, because you could just use the gargoyle statues to your advantage to climb out alongside with the box. And I'm glad that there are some surfaces in this game which you could just easily jump onto. It's one of those little things about the Talos Principle which I can appreciate. It's just the exploration factor of going to places where you normally think you're not supposed to be, but you can go. So, pretty neat stuff right there. It does take me a moment to actually get out of here because I do fail that first jump, but eventually I succeed and you might get the idea. Now, the third star, it's the one where you kinda have to, you know, use the recorder to your advantage. I've sort of figured that it might be possible to do this by just using a single fan piece to hold down one of the buttons, but I haven't really been able to figure out how just yet, but I gave myself a bunch of recording time once I had everything set up. Basically, on the starting point where you enter the puzzle, you need to have 2 connectors on that side, and you can easily transport that using the recorder method. But you also need the box to hold down the buttons that reach towards the star. Now the way I have the connectors set up is like this, so that way in the recorded state where they'll stay where they are, I need to plant one connector with at least 5 connections, and that's a lot. This one can get really confusing. It took me a number of attempts to actually get correctly, hence why I stood on a button for about 4 minutes just trying to figure this one out. I was actually having a conversation with someone at the time, so I just kind of let the game play out as it was, and I figured, oh hey, it just kind of adds to recording the solution, I guess. So once you complete all of that, you want to run past where I have placed this box, and again, I suppose you could potentially use a fan piece to complete this, but I didn't really want to bother. I figured the box would be a lot more helpful as is, and I haven't really bothered to look up the actual solutions, but if this is the actual solution to collecting this star, I'm pretty pleased with it, because originally when I attempted to go after this one, I was utterly confused. I had no idea how to originally tackle this, but I managed to figure it out on my own, and I have to say I'm quite pleased with it. I can't really say the same for the World 2 stars, which we will be getting into in the next video, but hey, it's something. So thank you guys very much for watching, have a great day or evening, and I guess I will see you in the next video.